Is this what we want our world to look like? For us to treat the Earth as an endless resource to exploit rather than a living entity to cherish and protect? It's unacceptable to let ourselves so willingly destroy our one planet with little to no consideration of the environment or the future generations that will live on it. So, whoever may be hearing this, please take care of our planet. It's not too late to make a difference, but time is running out.
The term climate change is a very general term. It could be about rising temperatures, changing weather patterns, worsening ecosystems, and much more. But there's no doubt that you haven't seen at least some of these effects throughout your life, and unfortunately, they're only going to get worse as time goes on. But not if we can help with that. My name is Aiden Kim, and me and the rest of my team here at Raceback Aviation High School have one mission today: to recruit you to save our planet. Your generation, Gen Alpha, will be the generation that inherits our deteriorating world. While my generation and other organizations beyond it have been working hard to slow down climate change's catalyst, it will all be for nothing if we don't have the help of you all. There will come a time when it's your turn to inherit this world, so when it is, we hope that you've come prepared to do what past generations have failed to save our planet.
The Arctic Ocean could be ice-free in the summer by 2050. Since the 1970s, the Arctic has been losing 13% of its sea ice per decade. This needs to stop. The loss of ice caps is a pressing issue and is harming our environment. We can't give up on this world. We only have one. Polar regions are warming twice as fast as the rest of the planet, and sea levels have been rising by 3.3 millimeters since the year 1993. Polar bears in the Arctic struggle to find sea ice for hunting seals, which means it forces them to swim long distances or move inland. Scientists use satellites to track changes in sea ice caps by capturing images and measuring ice thickness from space. NASA's IceSat-2 and the European Space Agency's Cryosat-2 are two major satellites that help monitor ice levels, using lasers and radar to detect even small shifts in ice coverage. These satellites provide critical data that helps scientists understand climate change and predict future ice loss.
In the past few decades, the sea levels have risen at an alarming rate that keeps growing. Rising sea levels are caused by melting ice and thermal expansion, so it's not an immediate big difference, but over time it definitely will be. Currently, the sea levels rise at about 1 inch per decade, but it varies depending on the area. For example, between 1960 and 2023, we have seen the sea rise more than 8 inches in the mid-Atlantic coast area. However, the satellites can see the sea and help us solve these problems by giving us a good view of what's affecting our ocean. One satellite that helps us get these great views from space is NOAA's GeoESR. When we look at satellite pictures, researchers can use what they see to predict what's going to go wrong and how we can make those things go right.
Many advancements have been made in our world, but we need to ask if they're really for the best. Artificial light, once admired for its beauty, now dims our night sky as a result of light pollution and climate change. In cities, the sky is barely visible, depriving us of the full starry experience. Light pollution also worsens air quality, harms public health, and disturbs wildlife, confusing migratory birds and disturbing nocturnal animals like bats and cougars. How can we tackle these problems? Satellites help fight pollution by tracking harmful chemicals and particles in the air from space. They can measure things like nitrogen dioxide, ozone, and tiny particles that affect our health. NASA's satellites give us important information about pollution all over the world, even in areas where there are no ground sensors. For example, satellite data showed that pollution dropped in places like China during COVID-19 lockdown. Upcoming satellite missions will provide even more detailed information about pollution and its effects on health, helping us take a better action to improve air quality.
Deforestation is becoming an exponentially growing problem today, especially as our populations grow. In order to suit our population needs, we have to cut down forests to make room for houses, cities, stores, roads, and more. But unfortunately, most people choose to ignore the massive side effects of deforestation. This is shown in 2022 when the Forest Declaration Assessment reported that the world was 21% short of its deforestation reduction targets, and that the loss was also 4% higher than in 2021. The effects they're ignoring: loss of vegetation, increased carbon emissions, loss of biodiversity, and even worsened food security.
However, the same data
I'll do my
deterioration of the ecosystem could also help us fix it. The GFW uses satellite data from NASA's Landsat and the ESA Sentinel-2 for all of the map data. And the imagery offer long-term data allowing governments and organizations to track deforestation over time. This is essential for creating and tracking global climate goals such as the Paris Climate agreement.
But that's not what we hope. We've already been trying so hard to save the planet that we've been given, but it's not going to be easy. While worldwide organizations have put multiple rules, regulations, and goals to save our planet, it will all be in vain if we have no one to continue our work. So to the next generation, the generation to inherit Earth, there is no doubt that the world will be changed, and there is no doubt that you won't still see many of the effects that we've described today. But we can still make an impact, and we can still save our planet. That's something I don't doubt.